Then, one day, I saw this. I would really love the slide to change. Really saw this. Bad wiffle ball bat. But that's cool. That's good. That's beautiful. That is such a better use for this thing called a guitar than what I was using it for. And when a guitar gets used like that, man, people get blessed. When a guitar gets used like that, I mean, people are moved. Because that's what a guitar is really for. What's your life for? You get to use it for whatever you want. Part of being human. And we could use our lives like a guitar as a wiffle ball bat. And it works, okay? But it feels a little awkward, but seems to be working. But when we finally discover our innate God-given talents and we begin to leverage them in righteous causes as God directs, then suddenly we stop using ourselves for something that seems to be okay, and we start using ourselves for what we're actually made for. And it's like, whoa, that's beautiful. That is so much cooler than what I was doing with it before. Finally, I can look at my life and go, yes, this is why I am alive. And that's what happens when you find your talents, your God-given strengths. Something else happens, by the way, why I think it's worth the journey. Because discovering our talents is the first big step to really identifying our calling. You see, here's what happens. God wants us to know what we're actually good at. That we just do naturally, we do it well, and when we use it the right way, bless other people. He wants to take what we do at, and he wants to use it somewhere or in some places. And when we take what we're good at doing and we leverage it in the places God wants, we have discovered our calling, because that's what God has called us to do. Take our strengths and use them where he wants. And 9 times out of 10, God will lead you to discover what you're good at before he will let you know where he wants you to use it. So if we want to know our calling, if we want to live a life of real contentment, this is why I'm alive, if we want to use the tools that God gave us to change our worlds, then we need to discover that treasure. Our innate, God-given talents. If we embrace these truths, we'll have what it takes to persevere, even though it's a little hard, it's a little risky, it's a little uncomfortable. But we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna be able to go through the jungle of why, because we know why. It's worth discovering that treasure. But then, once we're able to do that, and we've negotiated the jungle of why, we still have to climb the mountain of how. And that's the last step. I mean, seriously, how do you discover your innate God-given talents? Right? How? Don't you love messages that end with, here's the way it is, and then we walk out and it's like, I have no idea how to do that. So how do we climb the mountain of how? How is it we can actually discover what our our innate God-given talents are. Can I suggest several things from my experience and the experience of others that will significantly help in this regard? First, meter reading. Yeah, I know right now you're going, what did you just say? Meter reading. You see, we all have internal meters. And how they read indicates whether we're operating in a talent or not. For instance, there's the attraction meter. When you look at a certain task, do you try to avoid it? Or do you just are you attracted by it? Avoidance or attraction? Because the things that you actually want to avoid probably indicate my strengths don't lie there. But the things you're attracted to probably indicate, you know what, it might be because you've got talent in that area. Another one is the energy meter. When you do a certain task, does it drain you of energy? Or when you do a certain task, does it infuse you with energy? Because if a task drains you of energy, you probably don't have talents in that area. But if it infuses you with energy, it's because you probably are operating in an area of strength. And then there's the happiness meter. When you do something and it's done, do you go, I'm so glad that's finally finished? Or when you get done with it, you go, oh man, that was so cool. Look at this. Because when we're happy and joyful over having done something, it's an indicator we're operating out of strength and talent. But when we're just relieved, we're probably not. Be a meter reader. Look at those gauges inside. They give powerful clues as to what your God-given talents actually are. Here's the second thing. We could be a selective listener. We need to listen to the voices of people who actually know us and want the best for us. Because what they can often do is observe things in us that we can't see ourselves. When I was a freshman at Bible college, I was a missions major. Because I was convinced that what God wanted for me was to go to a jungle somewhere. South America, Africa, no matter where the jungle was to me. I was to go alone with a machete. And what I would do with that machete is I would hack a runway for planes so that like medical supplies and food could come in and missionaries could come in and they could start various philanthropic works and maybe start a church and whatnot. And I would help build the buildings. And then when that got up and going, I'd put my machete in my knapsack and I'd find me another jungle. And it was me and my machete in jungles. And that's how I was going to serve God. Because you know what? I knew the last thing God would ever want me to do was stand up in front of people and talk. No, not a chance in the world that was going to happen. I'm taking a required class. It's called freshman speech. Everybody had to take it. So I'm in freshman speech, and I'm just trying to get through. Toward the end of the semester, my freshman speech teacher, Becky Baker, took me aside as a 19-year-old young man and said, I think you might have some giftedness in the area of public speaking. Now, you all know better than that now. But she thought, yeah, I think maybe you could do this. You should consider being a double major and major in speech as well. And I'm like, are you trying to hurt me? Are you trying to mess my life up? She goes, no, here's what I see. And I'm like, it's the first time it actually occurred to me that maybe I had an ability to do something like that. And it was her words that God used to begin redirecting my life. Though every once in a while, I still daydream about the machete.